I want to say thank you again to all of you for joining us this morning. It's so wonderful to see so many people here, not just to worship, but to celebrate our youth and our seniors and our confirmands and our program. It's been so fantastic being here. I know a lot of you, but probably not all, and you may have seen me, but also maybe not. I'm here sometimes, but I'm usually somewhere else at this time, actually, with a much smaller group of very young people. But my name is Calvin Hardy. I am the youth director here at the First Congregational Church of Boulder, and I have not been here for too terribly long. I started in October of 2020. My wife and I moved from Oregon, and I'm sure all of you can imagine that youth ministry in 2020 and in 2021 as well was a radically different experience than it had ever been before. And one of the first things I noticed is that I lost some of the ability to ask big questions. For a long time, I was able to take the time to think and contemplate questions like, what kind of opportunities do I want to be able to offer the students that I work with in the next year? What kind of things do I want them to be able to learn in the next year? And I realized very quickly that I had to kind of set that aside for a little while in order to ask more practical questions like, what do I need to be able to do today? What do I need to be able to plan for the next week? What can I say to them the next time I see them that will be helpful? And as I explored all of these questions, it kind of occurred to me that a lot of what I needed to do was really similar to what it had always been. I had to do my best to offer a fun and safe and dependable space for as many teenagers as I could, or at least the few that would be willing to join me on Zoom once or twice a week. And I needed to create opportunities for those youth to connect with each other and to connect with adults that cared about them and with a faith community that empowered them, all in the midst of a world that was suddenly very, very dangerous. And the real challenge in struggling with all of these was deciding how. Like, how do I do these things? How do I offer these opportunities? What do they look like? But I didn't get a lot of time to contemplate that particular question until I was just kind of doing it on a daily, weekly basis, whatever it looked like. And I didn't have time, like I said, to ask those big questions like, how do I offer these opportunities? And I had to get really specific and ask, what is my next Zoom meeting going to be? What can I do with these teenagers to show them that they're not alone? What can I say to them when I've got them for 1 hour online to let them know that I'm still here and I still want to offer all I can? And so does the church. And the answers to those questions were different every single time I asked them. And I asked them of myself probably every day. But I learned very quickly to be as comfortable as possible with the fact that the answers were always different and that things were changing constantly, because I realized very quickly that the students needed me to be comfortable with that. They needed me to be able to change and grow and flex as things changed. And as the world did change, and as restrictions shifted weekly, and new information changed the entire game every time it was released, man, I did my best. But I would not have been able to offer very much at all if the students hadn't also been there, each inspiring me so much. Each of them is so wise and so fun and so authentic, and I am so grateful for each of them. I did what I could, and they did the rest. They were fantastic. And through all of it, we were able, and I'm so grateful, to create opportunities to grow together and cope with the world as best we could, and mourn what we had lost. And even as we were able to create these positive things and maintain these positive relationships and create these new, unique opportunities, one of the realities that I felt most acutely in 2021 was the fact that I couldn't offer them the kinds of opportunities that I used to be able to. And for the first time, it got kind of scary to think about what the future of youth ministry would be like. But I wasn't quite ready to reinterpret what I've come to experience as a call in my life since I myself was a teenager to be in youth ministry. And I'm really, really grateful now that I didn't take the time to reinterpret that. Because in September, I was for the first time able to start offering some in-person weekly youth groups. And it felt so good to see youth every week again. And very quickly, that feeling of uncertainty and the hopelessness and the despair that I couldn't offer them what I wanted, I was able to use that as just energy and determination to start offering things again. And youth ministry is something that is best viewed, as best measured over the course of years. But in the last 6 months, I have been so encouraged by the growth of our teenagers as they have stayed so committed and have taken the time to recommit to building a community of spiritual exploration and of just having a lot of fun together as often as they can. It has been such a blessing. And I have been reminded as things have shifted and transitioned that God has traveled this path with me and with all of our youth and with all of us. One of my most common refrains to myself, one of comfort, and to teenagers as well as a youth worker, is just that God feels what we feel. Just as in the passage I read, Jeremiah shared his uncertainty with God when he was called to this fantastical calling. God feels my uncertainty and my weakness, and he's there with me in that. And even though God feels those things, God works ceaselessly to bring hope and courage out of those feelings. I know it wasn't me. And I believe that God's work is slow and it is dependent on what we do as humans, but it is ceaseless and relentlessly loving. And I have seen some of the fruit of that work in the last 6 months. And I wanted to share just a little bit with all of you this morning. So we've got a video that's going to play in a sec that has a collection of the youth in it, just sharing some of the things that they have enjoyed doing in youth group in the last year. I hope you all enjoy it.